Nobody wants to go into a criminal investigation or a civil investigation for that matter. The people at Pornhub really realized how important it is to have compliance metrics in place. And because of their willingness to cooperate with the government during a civil investigation, they avoided the possible life-changing existential threat of a criminal prosecution. You might be able to do that as well if you take the steps that are necessary to qualify for a deferred prosecution agreement. That has to begin long before the criminal investigation. If you want to position yourself to minimize exposure to either a civil or a criminal investigation, first thing that you need to do is you need to demonstrate that you're a good corporate citizen. This is something that a lot of people don't really understand until they're much too late in the process. And it's one of the reasons we encourage you to educate yourself and learn, because in this era of big government, there are going to be many, many more government investigations and criminal prosecutions. So what are the steps? Well, the steps are really quite simple. Number one, you have to do a risk assessment of your company. So depending on the industry that you're in, the government is going to assess what is the risk level of a crime. Well, if you're a good CEO and you're a leader of your organization, you're going to want to make sure that you're avoiding anything that could bring you into the crosshairs of any kind of an investigation. So you need to have compliance programs put in place that address those risks. Then you need to make sure that you are really training your team at every element of the company, from the way you hire people, the way you train people, your customer acquisition strategy, your ability of fulfilling agreements. And you want to have some type of a training program that's demonstrating, hey, we are a good corporate citizen. We are doing everything within our power to comply with the law. And not only do you have the training program in place, you are also tying compensation to that training. So if somebody is working for your company, you want that person, you want to demonstrate a record showing this is what we have done to train people to minimize the risk. And if somebody is not going through the training, you want to have some type of a sanction for them. Either they don't have the ability to advance with compensation, they may get moved out. You also want to have in your compliance program some type of a self-reporting system. So if somebody in your company sees something going wrong, you want them to be able to report and to have some teeth to it as well. So if you notice something wrong, you can demonstrate, hey, we've done everything within our power to change policies, to make sure that we are in compliance. And you've got to have this self-reporting system so leadership within the company can do something, and if necessary, contact law enforcement. In this era of big government, that's effectively what you have to be thinking of. The government wants to see everybody as an ambassador of the Department of Justice. And you have to prepare for that. The more you can demonstrate that we have preparations in place, that we have compliance programs in place, that we have training programs in place, the more effective your defense attorney is going to be if the government comes knocking, that you could be able to show, hey, we've done everything within our power. We did not know what was happening. Because that's one of the big problems for entrepreneurs, is they say, I didn't know. Well, the government might say, look, you're CEO. You either knew or you should have known because you benefited. And as the founder of Prison Professors, and as somebody who's gone through 26 years in prison and has interviewed thousands of people who have gone through this, I know how important it is. And it's the reason that we are recommending that you take the time to learn. Learn how the criminal justice system works, learn how the civil system works, make sure that you've got a good compliance program in place. But God forbid, if you go into an investigation, make sure that you've learned everything possible so that you are minimizing your exposure to the downside. I mean, look at what happened to Pornhub. They could have been put out of business. It's a multi-billion-dollar organization. And instead of being dismantled, the government has agreed to a deferred prosecution agreement. And that didn't happen by accident. It happened by good planning. I hope that you're planning well as well.